lanes of blue.
Okay, there I am.
And connected.
Ooh la la, mon chéri. Welcome to another episode of Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. I'm Pat Renwick. My veins are blue, and connected to every single bone in my brain is electric. I dig ditches with the rest of them, the best of them, just like this guy right here to my right, the outdoor columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times, the Viceroy of Verbiage, the Prince of Pontification. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dale Bowman. Dale Bowman is here. Oh, my gosh.
They got a new title?
Yeah, you're the Prince of Pontification.
Dale with two
like
D's for a double dose of his pimpage.
It is.
Double D.
It is. And ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to have our buddy back in the studio today. You all know him as Bobby Berggren. I know him as Esquatro El Chapito. My pal, Bobby B, back in the house. Back in the house tonight.
High five.
Oh, yes. What kind of shenanigans is that? And, of course, right over here. Sorry, ladies. Ryan Whitaker is taken.
That's right.
His gal Jen Berg is in the house.
Help me.
Ryan Popcorn Whitaker right here.
Yeah.
Right over there. Ryan Popcorn Whitaker. Dude, we have a bass-tacular today. We got a real snoochie boochie of a show.
Yeah.
Worked up.
Snoogans.
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty excited.
It's too.
That's the French chick that's going to be on later. I'm pretty excited about this. Our buddy, our old pal, Mark Zona. Mark Zona from Zona's Awesome Fishing Show, the Bassmasters, all that other good stuff. He'll be on at the 7:30 hour on my Bass Buzz segment. Dale Bowman, what do you got going on today on Bowman Outside?
I'm going to lead off with putting pike into the Chicago River system because I think that's an interesting idea. That
Illegally?
No, legally.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it's an idea worth discussing.
Nice.
And then there are other things we'll wander into as we're apt to do.
Oh, there you go.
I feel like I'm going on an adventure with you, Dale, when you tell us about your segment.
He's like Huck Finn.
It is.
Yeah, he's like Dale
I
Finn.
like
Wild
Huck Finn.
adventure.
Dale Sawyer. Dale Sawyer.
No, I prefer Huck Finn.
Huck Finn's a lot cooler.
Yeah, Huck Finn is far cooler.
Absolutely, he's a lot cooler.
Don't give crickets for Huck Finn and Tom
Yeah, what's-
Sawyer. Talk.
Larry the producer's in the house. Larry the producer. Yeah.
There you go.
Bobby, what's going on in the mystery box?
I'm going to talk about the Stratic FK and the CI4 Plus and a little bit about Sturgeon Bay and the south end of Lake Michigan.
Nice. What's FK stand for?
I don't know.
Funky Clown?
Funky Clown.
The Funky
That'd be-
Clown
that'd be
Stratic.
FC.
No, wait, not if it's like,
Like
Killer
Insane
Clown.
Clown
Nice.
Posse.
Yeah, that's a K.
Spelling is
How did you
hard.
learn how to spell popcorn?
I don't remember.
What's going on in the Hammertown today?
Hammertown. We are minus a hammer tonight.
Okay, well, we
But,
got you.
We're gonna talk Chicago River, as Dale's gonna talk about. Not about pike though, about accessing the Chicago River and accessing Lake Michigan in Chicago. There's a lot of people asking about how to put a boat in, where to put a boat in. So we're going to get on that.
Hold your tongue and say access.
Access.
See, he did
That's
it.
good.
That was talent. That was talent right there. Hey, and on our stalwart section today,
I can't say access with my tongue.
I didn't ask you this time because you usually
I refuse.
On our stalwart section today, we got my buddy, the Commander-in-Chief of Conservation, Mike Echterling, coming on the show. Hell yeah. Heck yeah.
And he even, did you see the T-shirt that he wore for us?
It's Frogoflash.
We're treated.
Wait till you see this. It's Frogoflash. It's absolutely amazing. And Mike has a big weekend coming up because it's the Little Cal River Fest. How many annual, Mike? 6 years already. I remember when it was just a little guy. Now it's huge. Conservation Mike Echterling on the stalwart section. And the world premiere. The world premiere of Have Boat will travel with my manager, the birthday boy, tap dancing, Raj Tommy Billings. That's coming on a little bit later. Hey, you know what? We're here to have a good time tonight, and that's about all that matters. And we hope we convey that to you. But I want to share a couple things with you. Are you ready, Dale?
Oh, this is touching.
Yes. All right, so here's the deal. I finally saw this new Captain America movie. All right.
Oh, wait. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm going to
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Okay. Godzilla wins. Godzilla wins in the end. But no, here's the deal. I got this shirt and a box of Omaha steaks from a guy out of his trunk in the parking lot of the show. And it was really good. But seriously, the movie was awesome. And Captain America had a feeling. He had a feeling. He had a funny feeling. You know what I mean? Dale, it's kind of like when you first met Karen at the sock hop.
I didn't meet her at a sock hop.
Yeah, well, let's
That's
pretend.
a story I need to tell.
Let's
some other
let's
time.
pretend you met her at the sock hop.
I thought it was a turkey call in a bar.
Yeah.
That was somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully she's
Our
not
Ryan,
listening.
it's like when you first laid your eyes on Jen Berg.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Wait, get that feeling.
She's in the house.
Yeah,
so
Jen
be
Berg's
careful.
in the house, yo. Yeah, Jenny, Jen. But Captain America, he knew his feeling, what he stood for, what he had to do. Now, Iron Man, on the other hand, the guy from that Less Than Zero movie that did too much blow and dies in it. What's his name again?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
Well, no, he died in that movie.
Oh, but in life, he's still
I didn't
alive.
see that either.
Yeah, he's
so
Iron
thanks.
Man, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Iron Man.
Yeah.
So anyway, he had his opinions, and Captain America had his opinions. Now, back to the funny feeling. In bass fishing, how many of you out there listening, watching, get that funny feeling when you're bass fishing?
Oh, I do.
I know you guys do.
That's gonna happen.
I mean, you know if it's gonna happen or you think it's gonna happen. You might call it deja vu. You might call it a gut instinct. I just call it a funny feeling. Now, here's my point. You must trust the funny feeling. It's kind of like the force. You know, it's the force within us. But us as anglers have the uncanny ability to always second guess ourselves. We second guess ourselves constantly, especially in a tournament situation. Now, if we're just out with our buddies fishing, we don't care. We just don't care. We're just going chunking and winding and flipping and pitching and moving and grooving and a waking and a shaking. That's all it is. But when the time comes, and say you're in a tournament situation, we have an uncanny ability to second guess our guts, our funny feeling, the deja vu, that feeling I get when I look to the west and the forest is echoing with laughter. Do you know what I'm saying?
You lost me.
I
What?
do know what you're saying.
I don't know if you're
no,
supposed
lost
but I'll
me a little
sue
bit
you
on
for
the
the
podcast.
copyright.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Led Zeppelin.
Sorry, that's
Okay. Standards and practices. But, for example, I'm fishing a tournament last Sunday. And I came in fourth place. And people are like, whoa, that's great, Pat. You came in fourth place. No, it was awful. There was like 12 boats. So, I mean, it's really terrible. It's really terrible. It was a little mini derby. But the winner of the tournament ended up catching the big bass of the tournament. And it was an extremely tough day. Let me backtrack by saying that. The winning bag was, they only had 4 fish. All right, they only had 4 fish. And we came in fourth with like 3 fish, me and Eric Novotny for the USA Bass in Lake George tournament. But the winner of the tournament, my good buddy Ben Stanley. You guys know Ben Stanley. Everybody knows Ben Stanley.
Stanley Tools.
Yes.
Old Ben Stanley. He ended up winning the tournament, and he caught his fish on a buzzbait.
It was 40 degrees on Sunday.
Thank you. You just second-guessed me, too, because here's what happened. The night before the tournament, I'm like, dude, I'm going to catch him on a buzzbait. I even got one out. I glued a new little trailer on there. I sharpened up the hook. I had it tied on. It was on the deck. And I was like, I am going to catch fish on this buzzbait tomorrow. I know it. I feel it. Well, come time for the tournament, it's 6 in the morning, and it's 39 degrees, and I can't even feel my fingers. And I'm like, there's no way that these fish are gonna hit a buzzbait. Well, Ben saw it on the deck, and he copied me and ended up throwing a buzzbait and caught the winning bag of fish.
So he benefited
sold
from
you
your
to.
funny feelings.
No, I don't know if that happened or not, but Benny did catch him on the buzzbait. And, and it's like I had that feeling, but I did not trust my gut instinct. Had I had thrown the buzzbait, maybe I'd have done better. Maybe I wouldn't. I'm like, it's a flipping bite. I'm going to have to flip it. I'm going to have to fish slow and blah, blah, blah. And we got some bites doing it, but it was a grind. But always trust your gut. Always trust that funny feeling. Because you know what? If you do it and it's not working, then you can always go back. But if you don't do it at all, you never know. Like the time when you asked Karen out at the sock hop and she said yes. If you didn't ask her out, you would have never known. But I do know that tonight we're going to have an amazing time. This is Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. I'm Pat Renwick. We're going to pull the trolling motor up and we're going to chew along down. We'll be back with Bowman outside, so don't you go anywhere.
Okay, I suppose you're wondering why Larry popped up the photo of Chef Todd with a critter. The critter, I think, is a groundhog, if I remember right. Well, part of it is I just want to butter up Chef Todd so we can get him in the stalwart section. But the other part is that Todd is one of the most innovative writers, and I use that term loosely, at Heartland Outdoors in their magazine section. He can talk about anything from fishing to food. He's a specialist in both. I also happen to write for Heartland Outdoors magazine. If you're a deer hunter, you already know heartlandoutdoors.com because it's the place to go if you're an Illinois deer hunter or anybody who hunts the Midwest. heartlandoutdoors.com and magazine.
Angler's Outlet is a family-owned and operated tackle store. From panfish to muskie, the guys over at Angler's Outlet have what you need. Conveniently located 159th Street and I-57 at 16,300 South Cicero Avenue in Oak Forest, Illinois, Angler's Outlet has a full line of tackle from the best brands in the industry and a full selection of live bait for every type of fisherman. If they don't carry the item you are looking for, Brad Jackson, the head honcho at Angler's Outlet, will gladly order it for you. Angler's Outlet is here for the South Side and the region anglers.
Call him the Viceroy, a wordman by trade, shackled only by freedom. The outdoors his game. Some said he was restless, but I know the same. He's a viceroy of Burbage. Dale Bowman's his name.
Wow.
I just still.
Wow. Welcome back, Stray Cats Outdoor Cartoon Television. I'm Pat Remick. Want to remind you at the 7:30 hour, that's 7:30 Central Time, for all of you in Texarkana. Isn't it? Wait, it's 7:30 in Texarkana. How about Saskatchewan? Bobby, what time is it in Saskatchewan?
Same time as here.
Is in Saskatchewan it is? Ryan, what time is it in St. Petersburg, Florida right now? 2 o'clock. So at the 2 o'clock hour, Mark Zona will be on here. This is my buddy, Dale Bowman. He's the outdoor writer for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he's a genius.
Oh,
You're a flat-out genius, dude.
Yes.
Mad scientist.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Old Krusty. Old Krusty
now
the
that
Clown.
part there, you finally hit it right.
Yes, it's time for a little Bowman outside. What's going on in the world of outsideness?
Well, I had a little fun yesterday, and it was kind of intriguing because I was up when they were dumping 2,000 5-inch northern pike fingerlings into the North Shore Channel, just across the city line in Skokie. And I'm just intrigued because I think it's an idea that has options and possibilities. Last year they stocked channel catfish, which didn't do a whole lot for me.
In the same area?
No, that was downtown.
Okay.
And because they had television trucks and everything. This was, I was the only person there besides Margaret Frisbee, the head of executive director of Friends of the Chicago River, and the streams biologist Steve Pescatelli and the guy from the hatchery. So I mean, there was only 4 of us there. It was pretty desolate.
So they're not only putting pike in though. You're talking about they're putting some weeds in there.
Yes,
too. Some foliage.
Yes, and if you fish the Chicago River much, one of the major problems is, depending what your verbiage is, cover or structure, if you will. But cover is the main thing because it is a channel for navigation, and basically it goes like,
Yeah.
you know, and it isn't like a natural thing, you know, where you have a little drop off and stuff.
We don't have much natural stuff around here, Dale.
No, we don't have much natural stuff around. Wolf Lake is a pretty good example.
There's a lot of washing machine and tire patterns.
Natural ones.
I'm glad
yes.
you said that.
I like the shopping carts myself.
Those are good
Thank
too.
you. That
But you
was-
lose a lot of jigs in those.
Garbage cans.
Yes.
Those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bobby, you stole one of my favorite ones. I still remember a shopping cart when there used to be a Kmart at Walmart, Devon and McCormick Place. A shopping cart had blown in from the wind, and it was a phenomenal fishing spot because it was the only cover they had, you know, and so
Yeah.
every fish was there. And one day I was talking about the river, and this kid comes up to me and he goes, "Man, I found this fishing cart." I go, "Oh no, somebody else knows my secret spot."
They spotted it.
I've got my favorite spot up the North Shore Channel is there's kind of a homeless camp up under the bridge.
I know
And they've
where
been
you
throwing stuff in there, and it's a current break that's made by a
Like bottles of Night Train and Mad Dog?
It's an air conditioner, a shopping cart, and a mountain bike.
Yes.
And they hang out right behind it. It's a great spot.
And they
It
side
really is.
scanned it when you went by. And
No,
it
I
was
just see it
holding
from
all
the
kinds
shore.
of fish.
It's right there. I mean, it's a good spot. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the
You're
other.
stealing their food, Ryan.
That's probably right.
Oh, you might be right. I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that.
I'm always really quiet not to wake them up.
But
Give them a few bucks, right?
I just
What's wrong with you?
Throw 'em
the
a
part that
tightrope.
you're talking about is next year they're going to start plantings of lizard tail and water willow.
That's
And-
great.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, that is what it really needs. You need to have cover. I mean, you need places where they can go, and it doesn't hurt to have some oxygen thrown around.
Well,
either,
and
too.
it'll filter it too, and filter out some of that
It just,
muddiness.
there's all kinds of goodness that can come from it.
Mm-hmm.
My one concern was, I mean, if you've done ever much, went up and down the North Shore Channel or the North Branch much, there's a real dearth. Can I use the word
Dearth is an amazing word.
Oh, thank you.
What does that mean, Dale?
Yeah, I don't have any idea what that means.
Lack of.
Lack of.
Not a lick of. Lack
A
of.
lack of. He's a word man by trade, Dale Bowman. He's the viceroy of verbiage.
Where was I at? I got
Dearth.
You were
distracted.
dearthing things.
There's a dearth.
Don't play
of-
with your
of-
dearth too much.
Is
You'll
that
go
a dearth
blind.
of words?
There's not much sunlight that gets into the particularly in the North Shore Channel, and so I was wondering how they were going to put water willow in there. Pennsylvania Dutch, and it's hard for me to say W's back to back. Watervillo. I want to say a VW.
Vatervillo?
Yes, that's exactly
What impressive knockers you have, Dale.
You're a dirty boy, Dale.
So, but they said they've been doing enough of work along the river, and come to think of it, they were right. In some of the park areas and areas where they've done restoration, they've taken away some of the non-native species that have been shading the water. So there are areas where the water willow can really take off.
Yeah.
Because that's a sun plant. The reason they're doing lizard's tail is that,
Grows in the shade.
yes, and that's very
And they
much-
regenerate. Like if the tail comes off, that
absolutely.
lizard's growing back.
Right.
And when I lived in Florida, I played with chameleons all the
And
time.
they change color.
Because Jim Morrison did, so I figured I needed to also.
Did you lick any toads?
Yes, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Dale, back to the pike real quick.
Yes.
It seems like the population is expanding even on the lake, you
Yes.
know? Every year
Absolutely.
I'm seeing more and more.
I've
Me and
caught,
Ryan were
I think
out
I've
and-
caught 6 this year. That's twice as many as I've ever caught.
I mean,
Yeah.
the obvious reason, there are two obvious reasons. One is the water clarity from the zebra mussels and quagga mussels is part of it. The other part of it is the byproduct of that clarity is that the harbors in particular have tremendous weed growth, and as long as they don't whack them back, that they have a permanent home.
Right.
I remember when there were spring and fall, there were a handful of guys, this is like 20 years ago, knew that some pike would come back into the harbors. Well, now there are pike living in the harbors. I mean, they're not migratory. They are there. They're there all the time. And if you really wanted to target them, you could go in and get them. Right. It used to be just a spring and a fall fishery, but that
in
has changed.
Chicago, it's in the fall too when you're casting for the kings inside there.
Yeah.
If you throw a spoon over the weeds, bam, you're getting clocked by a little hammer handle.
And it's amazing. It's amazing how the population of pike in the tributaries of Lake Michigan have really expanded. Say in the last 3 or 4 years. Me and tap dancing Tommy Billings were out fishing the tributary last weekend. And
Which one?
Yeah, it was a tributary of Lake Michigan that I prefer
one,
not to talk about.
That one tributary.
Yes,
Ditch?
it is a tributary. But there's an abundance of those little jackhammers, man. And they're little balsa bait stealers. I hate it.
That's true.
Yeah. They're stealing your stuff.
Well, that's my next question. Dale, do you think it's a good thing?
I'm not sure yet. I actually do because I think, one, it's a native species, and I do like the connection where they made it connected to a fish that is, if the aquatic plants take off, that kind of a natural marriage in my worldview.
I think they're going to chew up all those little carp minnows, too.
And that could well be, and I'm not sure that that's a bad thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how it goes. The other thing, and I asked the biologist about this, is pike move around. By nature, most pike are very migratory.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you go up on Green Bay, they're way out in Green Bay, and every spring, as soon as the ice is out, they're in the ditches, sometimes miles up to the ditches, and water this deep. So, I mean, they move around. And I asked him, do you think they'll end up out in the harbors? Because, quite frankly, the harbors are much clearer water. You have much better established weeds. And he said, yeah, some of them probably will, but there's movement back and forth. And, I mean, he said the one reason there are so few predators other than some bass, and the bass aren't huge in the Chicago River.
There's some
system.
good ones up that way. Up
Yeah,
the
there are
North
some
Shore
good. But, I
Channel.
mean, we're not talking 5 and 7 pounds.
No, three and 4, though.
Yeah.
Seen.
But, I mean, and that's
Respectable.
it.
Yeah.
You don't
That's
have
really good for the Chicago.
Yeah,
Cubs.
absolutely it
Yeah.
is.
There's not a lot of those, but there
No.
are a lot of 1 to 2
No
pounders
Oprah
up
size ones, though.
That's right.
In the Chicago
there.
River.
No Oprah size.
Yeah.
No.
What's wrong with Oprah?
She's a big gal.
It's just
What's
a size.
wrong with a big gal?
It's just a size reference.
Deuce
I am
and
not a
half.
chubby chaser, Dale. I am not a chubby chaser.
What's up, Tom Billings?
That's I'm to try and answer your question. I'm withholding my judgment for a year or two
Right.
because the biologists thought they'd be 8 to 10 by next spring. I think there's potential they could be bigger than
Yeah.
that. I
there's
think
a lot of food. There's a lot of shad in
tremendous
there.
food, and there's not much competition for the food other than a handful of bass.
Yep.
Where they put them in is near one of the areas that I think could hold them. It's just upstream of what I consider the number one fishing spot, not downtown. I think downtown there is some better. There's a discharge
Yes.
in about a half a mile from them. And I think a lot of them will end up there and stay there because there's no reason to leave. You have oxygen, you have current, you have cover, you have food.
And that spot's been dead the last 2 years.
I don't understand
Completely
why.
dead.
Last time I fished, we only caught a handful of little itty bitty bass.
You used to be able to pop 112 to 14-inch crappies out of there every
Really?
day in the wintertime. Yeah.
Beautiful crappies too.
Monsters, yeah.
Hey, could you imagine that if in years to come that the Chicago River is actually a trophy pike destination?
See, now that's very intriguing. I actually can imagine.
Like there was
that.
like charters for big pike.
I
And
don't
like
think it
Pete Mena even comes to visit us and stuff.
Well, I can see him coming to visit us, but I don't think it's that kind of potential. But I can see somebody guiding to say catch a pike with Willis Tower. Do I have to call it Willis Tower, or can I still call
Sears.
it? Okay,
Sears.
Sears Tower in
Sears
the
Tower.
background, or the Merchandise Mart.
The Goldblatt's
Well, you
building.
know,
Exactly.
Yes.
Dale, they took off in the Des Plaines River, which is the same kind of fishery.
In fact,
as
I
that.
think the Des
Very
Plaines
similar.
is even worse shape, or was. when
There's
they-
a ton of pike in there, in the Des Plaines, up in that area. I mean, if you go west of that area they're all over the place. So I think you're going to see the same thing. And they don't catch a lot of giants out of there, but, 25 inches, 20 inches, a lot
and
of smaller
thick.
pike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not stock muskie?
I asked about that too. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, especially, I'm not sure in my lifetime, but I think in your lifetime, it's a possibility. I will give two reasons, though. Muskie, for whatever reason, are incredibly hard to raise in a hatchery. It's one of the reasons that muskie fingerlings, same size as a pike fingerling, are about 3 or 4 times as much. They're just harder. They don't do well on a hatchery, so, and that's part of it. And the other part is, I'm not sure historically if muskie were in the Chicago River system. Pike were. I mean
Right.
Yeah.
That was very much. They were part of the weeds in the out in Lake Michigan, and I mean they were around. I mean,
Well, and they
just-
still
you go-
are. I've caught a few downtown, but yeah, they haven't. There's not a bunch of them or anything like that. Yeah.
Walleye were natives too. That would be the stocking. I think that would get people excited. If they
Yeah.
stocked.
I think so too.
Oh, absolutely.
We have the potential for all this. Muskie or northern population or a walleye population on the lake.
Yeah.
You got Green Bay, you got Lake Erie that has abundance of walleye and smallmouth. And then
I don't get it. Why aren't they here?
Well,
the walleyes.
Lake Erie is a much more fertile lake. I mean, that's by comparison. Lake Michigan is the Dead Sea when it comes to being fertile.
I love Lake Michigan.
I didn't say anything
Yeah,
wrong, but I
don't
meant
talk
if you're
about
comparing
Lake
it to Lake
Michigan
Erie,
that
you
way.
can't.
You used to be able to walk across Lake Erie at one time, and look what happened.
It used to burn.
It's the burning bridge of Babylon.
I remember as a kid reading in my weekly reader how Lake Erie was going to be dead within a couple years, and now it's a world-class fishery. So I mean, things can change, and I think the Chicago River is on a similar sort of trajectory as Lake Erie, coming back and rebounding.
I think the biggest thing they need to do, though, they need to open up that dam more often. I don't know if it's even possible, but the lack of current is the biggest
Yes.
issue in that
Especially
channel.
in the summer.
It's just when you get past that discharge you're talking about, it's just stagnant.
From
and
there,
it's
you mean
just
from there to Wilmette, or
It's
from
just a cow pasture down there of freshwater cows. The carp. It's all carp.
Freshwater cows.
Yeah. I mean, it's all dead, just stagnant water, bubbles coming up, carp just everywhere. And but you get into that current by the discharge, you catch some bass, some crappies, stuff like that. But if they would actually have some flow coming through all the way into downtown, it would draw more fish up. And that's why more of the fish are downtown as well, because you got the lock opening up with the lake water coming in. But you got the lake up at Winthrop, flowing into the North Shore Channel. So if they'd
You mean
open up
Wilmette.
Wilmette, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, Wilmette, if they would open that up a little bit, create a little flow, it would draw more fish up there.
Have you ever been all the way
knows?
up? Wilmette is incredible. If you get up there, I mean, he's absolutely right. You got fish at Wilmette because they got all kinds of current coming in from Lake Michigan, and they're right there. I mean, it's, I don't know, a couple 100 yards that you have fish that you can catch. You can stand there and pop, a dozen different species.
Yeah.
And then you got a dead zone until you hit that discharge which is almost on. I think it is on the Chicago border, but
Yeah.
so I mean that's
Skokie.
yeah.
River fish abounding. You guys know your Chicago River.
I'm very proud to say that I have done the entire system from all 3 points of entry, Wilmette, Chicago, and Calumet Harbor, and done it all the way down to Lockport.
Wow.
And I'm missing one little chunk between Lockport and Marseilles. I'm missing that little chunk there, and otherwise I've done it all the way down to Henry, and then I got a little gap from Henry to Peoria. But
You can do it. You can do it, Huck Finn.
That's my. See, that's it.
That's
We're
the spirit.
flowing.
They'll just hit me. Getting beat up here.
Oh, one last.
Oh, yes.
He
got thrown off by that.
Yes. The IHSA state championship for bass fishing is this weekend. And I know at least some of them, most of them are on their way down right now. And some of them dropped me a note that they're trying to see if they can get us while they're going down there on
Nice.
their phones.
They just
So
want to
we'll
see Zona. They don't care
Yes,
about
no,
us.
they think he's a god. They do not think we're gods.
Maybe
yet.
you.
Not yet.
Maybe
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Maybe
Hey,
Larry.
this is Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. Don't you go anywhere. When we get back, we got the dude, Mark Zona, coming on live. Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. Keep it locked.
there was a jig that I could flip, swim, and drag with.
You need dem jigs.
Yeah, I do need them jigs.
Not them jigs, dem jigs.
Oh!
Custom hooks, hand-tied living rubber skirts, and an indestructible chip-proof head. Available in both football and the flip-swim style. Jigs built out of a necessity for the serious fisherman. Like Them Jigs on Facebook or order online at demjigs.com. That's DEM jigs.com. PH Custom Lures by Phil Hunter quickly becoming the most sought-after custom balsa baits in the industry, from the Little Hunter to the Squeaky P. These baits are pure quality, handcrafted, hand-carved, and hand-painted. But most importantly, they flat-out catch fish. PH Custom Lures has a bait for any situation in a magnitude of colors. Check out the Old School, Straighter, and PH Custom series at phcustomlures.com. That's phcustomlures.com. Oh, yes. Welcome back, Straycast Outdoor Cartoon Television. I'm Pat Renwick, and it is time for the Bass Buzz segment of our show with our good buddy, the one, the only, ladies and gentlemen. How about a warm studio audience round of applause for Mark Zona? Yeah. Z. What up, dude?
Guys, I am not gonna lie. I have to compliment you on something. That was the finest intro music of any fishing show I've ever been on.
I figured you'd like it, Z. I had to bring out a little crew for you, dude.
I need to show you something. I asked my kids to go get this picture real quick in honor of that song. It's a picture of Kevin Van Dam, a chick, myself, and Vince Neil right there.
Yeah.
Vince Neil.
There it is.
I thought it was Pat Renwick for a second.
But here's the beauty of that. And Pat, I don't know if I told you this story. I'm an enormous Motley Crue fan, and I'm in Vegas at ICAST with Van Dam, and he goes off to get a cold one or something like that. I walk into a bar. There's nobody in there. There is not a soul in the bar, right? And there's a dude sitting 2 stools down from me, and it's Vince Neil, right? And I said, man, I'm not this guy, but I got to get a picture with you. And he looks at me and he goes, no, I'm not going to do that. And this is no joke.
You're
I
bigger
looked
than
at
him,
and I
dude.
said-
You're bigger.
I literally said, hey, bud, I'm not that guy, but I am right now. Trust me. True story.
That's awesome, dude. You got to meet one of your childhood heroes.
Yeah, I was really let down.
Hey, man, you know it's old school stuff, man. I'm glad that you keep that alive in your spirit, Z.
Oh, I was out fishing today and listening to all kinds of music like that. So
hell yeah. What's the best Crew album?
Shout at the Devil or Theater of Pain. Still, I got to go with that.
Yeah.
I have to go with that.
I like
That's
the
the right
first
answer.
one. I like the first one, dude.
Was that Live Wire?
Live Wire, dude. You are the Live Wire, Mark Zona.
I'm a big fan of the first one, but I'm not gonna lie, and I got to be careful where I go here. Shout at the Devil and Theater of Pain hold a very sentimental time span of my life. If
Wow,
you know what I mean.
I'm speaking
You
your
know what I
language.
mean,
Speaking the
boy.
language. I'm speaking the language right there. Hey, Z, it's been a long time, dude. You know,
It has been. It's actually been a long time since I've been home.
and I see, yeah, it's pretty scenic there.
This is no joke. I'm not saying this jokingly. I live on a golf course, and I've never hit a ball, ever.
Is there killer ponds or what?
There is a lot of that, and I'm not going to lie. I have shot almost every animal that has walked on this golf course. I have thinned the herd of many things out here.
Golfers?
Not golfers, though. Were you like Bill Murray?
Thoughts have crossed my mind.
Are you the Bill Murray of Centerville? Is that what's going on?
On certain evenings.
I shot the bejesus out of it.
that is awesome, man. So, you know, okay, you're home, dude. You're living a rock star lifestyle right now. I mean, you are, as far as your traveling goes. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm not going to say, hey, look, it's the biggest blessing on earth. To be able to do what I do and have done. I think I'm heading into my next year would be my 12th year covering the Bass Masters, and I've had Zona Show now for 10, whether it was on ESPN or Outdoor Channel. But the negative of that all coming together and working, and actually I think I told Dale about this one time. The negative of that is trying to still be a husband and be a father, you know, for my kids that are 16. That's the negative of it, you know, is when you do those really long 2-month spans, because that's a long time.
Oh yeah, but what do? You get home, you got time to relax with Karen and the kids, and what do you do? I mean, what's relaxing to Mark Zona?
I got home on Sunday and I have fished every single day, and I'm fishing tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. That's terrible.
No, it's awesome.
I'm not saying that jokingly. I fished every day, and I have to leave again Monday, but I'll fish every day until I leave on Monday. So
So that's, I mean, that was kind of an obvious question, but yeah, I mean, you live and breathe what you do, man.
It's what's weird is it's what I did way before TV, and it's what I'm gonna do way after TV. What's interesting is I don't fish tournaments at all anymore. I mean, I really grew up since I was 9 or 10 years old fishing tournaments, but what Zona Show has kind of turned into is it took the place of tournaments, not from a competitive standpoint because I'm not competitive with any. Well, I'm competitive with one guy when he's on the show. Yeah, that cowboy from Kalamazoo.
I heard about him. I heard about him.
He's not a good one to be competitive against because he'll beat your brains in. But as far as the anxiety and you get stressed out and you watch weather, I really look at my shows the same exact way I used to look at tournaments, where you study bodies of water, you study your maps, you study your I try to make sure when we go to a shoot that we bring our that we really have our best foot forward. But even if we lose, to this day, I still try to air those shows. And what's amazing to me is people remember the shows that you suck in way more than shows that you catch them in. It's a really interesting dynamic.
Like David Hasselhoff has that problem.
I don't know, Pat, if he has that problem. I
Yes.
don't know that he does.
Yes.
That was a great example. I imagine he does. I imagine David Hasselhoff really stresses out about high pressure and low pressure situations on approaching fronts and leaving fronts.
Yes, he does.
Are you saying that he sucked in Baywatch and that's what everyone remembers him for?
Yeah, because of the babes.
Because that's accurate.
Yes.
I would say.
Pat, that absolutely made no sense, but it sounded damn cool.
Well, thank you. That's what I'm out to do, Mark.
I want you to know that.
That's the deal. Hey, man, I want to tell you something. I, as many other fans and friends of yours, follow your Instagram account. And I want to tell you one of the coolest things that I saw on there was when Paul Rudd sent a little video to Hunter.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. I was sitting on the couch. I had just got home, and my brain was kind of a little bit jello, and I wasn't listening to crap that was going on around me. And I recognized his voice because he's what is he in all those movies?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The slap at the base guy.
And one of the twins, my son Hunter, goes, "Oh my gosh, Paul Rudd's talking to me right now." And I asked Hunter, I said, "What exactly you got going online right now, bud? What's going on here?" But it was that Iron Man versus Captain America. I love the shirt, by the way. Love the shirt. And my kid commented about it, and the actor actually responded.
No, that was awesome. And then your fans started like ripping Paul Rudd like he was a jagoff or something. And it's like,
he's a freaking jagback messing with my kid. I hate that guy.
He was gonna reach out there and freaking knock him.
Give me a break. I mean, I don't want this to sound the wrong way. My 60-year-old could kick that guy's ass.
I know, right? That's awesome. Hey, let's get to know Mark Zona a little bit better, okay? What do you say? Let's throw in a couple things here. Now, okay, here's the question. One jig, one size, one color. I know you're a jig fisherman. What's it going to be?
Half-ounce green pumpkin structure jig. Hands down. Hands down. I'm going to shoot with Ike and Ellie at the Chesapeake Bay next week. And by the time I spin myself out in the first hour, I'll lock a half-ounce green pumpkin jig in my hand the rest of the week. Here's what I can tell you. If you ever watch my show and I'm throwing a half-ounce green pumpkin structure jig, the wheels have come off every other bait that I have thrown that trip.
And that's the deal. What's your trailer?
Definitely. Rage Craw in the color blue craw. Hands down. Best color on
blue
it.
craw.
Yeah.
That's a Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland favorite also. I mean, the whole combo.
Exactly, man. I mean, it's green pumpkin with a swirl of blue in it. I mean, hell, everything that our bass up here from where I'm sitting here, you guys are approximately 1 hour and 35 minutes right now to the west of me. Every lake between here and there that works on. Every lake.
Mark, what is the highlight of your 12-year fishing career? What's the highlight?
Wow. Oh. You know, Pat, that's a darn good question. You know, I don't take a lot of my days, you know, with my kids to go fishing. I don't take those for granted. Like probably, you know, I remember the first show they shot with me, they were 10 years old. That's definitely a highlight. But from a fishing standpoint, um, I found a school of fish one time on Falcon Lake that we shot 2 shows off of. We got 2 shows out of it in a 24-hour span. And my best 10 weighed just under 90 pounds.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and it was, and you know what's amazing is, um, I'll never see that again. Like when it happened, when I found that school of fish, the night before my camera crew got there, and I remember to right now I get chills talking about it. I caught an 11-pounder, and as God is my witness, it had a dozen 8 to 11-pound fish following it, and it was on a really really neat spot. And I remember going back to the hotel parking lot, and I was tying my crankbait on, and I was shaking the night before. I was literally shaking. And I told my camera crew, I said, we need to be out there in the dark. I do not want somebody to, in my mind, look, it's Falcon Lake, and it was before Falcon Lake was really popular. Um, but I just didn't want anything to go wrong. And I kept thinking, there's no way on God's green earth that this is something will mess up tomorrow. Something will mess up. You know, I'll get kidnapped by the cartel in Laredo tonight. Something's going to mess up.
That does happen out there.
And I remember going through I went through my waypoints, and Dale, it was one of those magical offshore deals. It was a boulder about the size of a garage. It was just a giant friggin' rock, man, that was in 22 to 29 feet of water. And the reason I know it was a giant boulder, the water level went down there 4 years ago, and I went to it, and it was up out of water. And I went up to it and pulled a pebble off of the boulder to remember it by. And
Nice.
and this is no joke. I remember pulling up to the waypoint, and my hands were shaking. I was so nervous. And I went right through the waypoint, never got a bite, and it finally clicks. I was reeling my crankbait in at the speed of light. It was like a laser beam. and I calmed myself down and turned back the other way, and that's when it started. And it was the most incredible 24 hours of 8 to this is no joke. In that show, in both of those shows, I had 5 or 6 7-pounders we did not even use. Never even aired them. Did not need to air them. That was a highlight because it'll never happen again.
Crazy. Absolutely nuts, man. In those 12 years, as you said, there's been a lot of magic. I mean, you were a movie star for a while. You and Tommy, you did a little movie together with Jacob Wheeler as a young kid. Remember when Jacob Wheeler was the star of that little movie?
I do remember that.
What was that movie?
I do remember that. The one that I did with Tommy, it was Innocence Lost.
Innocence Lost.
That's so terrible. That's so terrible.
Oh, then the bait shop. The bait shop. That was.
Yeah.
Doesn't that kid look like a little Jacob Wheeler in that movie?
I try to, Pat. I'm not lying. I'm trying to put that movie out of my mind and my career that I actually did that.
That's what Hasselhoff does.
Well, exactly. What's funny is you guys are huge sports fans, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be an unnecessary name dropper, but I fish with Mike Golick quite a bit from Mike and Mike, right?
Sure.
And this was like, it was like a year ago at 1 a.m. I get a text from him, and it says, bait shop, we all make mistakes.
Oh, nice. Oh, dude. But hey, you know what? If it's a rainy or a snowy winter day, I'll always watch me a little bait shop if it comes
I'm not
on.
gonna lie. It's like it's like that psychotic chick that you went out with in high school that just doesn't go away, man. Right?
It's
The
always
movie
there.
the movie will just not leave.
It's the theater of pain, shout at the devil days kind of thing.
Exactly right.
That's exactly what it is. Hey, okay, now we had your buddy Jay Kumar on a couple weeks ago, and one of my favorite shows of all time, Loudmouth Bass, dude. Loudmouth Bass.
Well, it was a show. It Loudmouth Bass, I'll tell you what was really interesting about that was they I got to be careful where I'm going here. I got to be careful. They canceled it at the Classic in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
They pulled me in a room and they said, "Hey, we're going to cancel it. You're going to probably transition into being the host of the Bassmaster." I'm like, "Get rid of that damn show. I hate Loudmouth." and but here was the problem. They said, "Hey, we really keep this quiet. Keep it close to the vest." And when I found out, this is no joke, when that show got canceled, we had so much fun on it because it didn't matter anymore.
Nice.
I mean, do and say anything I hate to say it, we had carte blanche to misbehave for 5 months.
That's a good ticket to ride right there.
It was fun.
That's a good one. Hey, Mark, we got to cut to a break, dude. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Larry's giving me further instructions with he's giving me a paddling motion. So
Okay.
I think that means continue on. That means continue on. Hey, all right. Let me put a scenario into play here for you. Now, in case you didn't know, like since I've talked to you last, since the Bass Buzz days, the Bass Buzz radio show days, I'm Brandon Palaniuk's manager now. Did you know that?
I've heard actually you're a manager of several of our anglers on the elites.
Yeah, yes, that is true. That is true.
You have probably the finest hair for being an agent that I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's entourage style. Thanks, Mark.
You look like a disheveled Thor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm taking that as a compliment.
He has lost his hammer.
And by the way, tell your kids that the only thing that sucked about that Captain America movie is there was no Thor in it.
I will tell them that because they're kind of big in it. They may have actually seen it. I've been gone so long, so
it's phenomenal. You should see it too.
I promise I will.
You should see it too. Well, as you know, as being Brandon's manager amongst others, I even manage Hasselhoff too these days. By the way, that's a theme for tonight: the David Hasselhoff contrast comparison. But I throw ideas out. You know, I throw ideas like I got Brandon. He's starting a boy band on the side. Okay. So I'm going to throw and with all my clients, I give a little bit of creative input. I let you as the client have the creative input. So now I've just self-appointed me as your manager. And I have an idea to run by you. Okay?
Absolutely.
I'm going to bring back like a bass fishing Dukes of Hazzard. Okay? Are you following
I like
me?
where you're headed.
Are you following me? So I got you as the Luke Duke guy. All right. And then I'm gonna put I'm gonna put your dude Hackney in there. So you guys are like the brothers that go around misbehaving. Okay?
Right.
You and the Hack Attack. I'm gonna put.
We're kind of like we're the Duke boys.
You are the Duke boys. Yes.
I'll be honest with you. For a few weeks out of the year, we really are.
Nice. I'm gonna put James Watson as Boss Hog. Okay.
Here again, yet another one that in real life we do.
I'm gonna put
Jacob. Actually, I'm gonna throw you a little help on this. I think Jacob Porosnik would be a good boss hog.
Yes, that's right. So we're gonna do some casting. We're gonna see who's gonna fit this mold. We're gonna put let's Shaw Grisby is Boss Hog's assistant. He's the other guy.
I like that.
Okay,
no, he works.
All right, now pick me a Daisy Duke. Who's Daisy Duke?
Show
I
us
got it.
Anders.
Look at my wife staring at me.
Reach into
My
the
wife's
spank
staring at
bank,
me.
Mark. Who's Daisy Duke?
I hate to do this. I would put Justin Lucas because he's a damn good-looking kid. I'll be dead honest with you. He's a good-looking kid, man.
That's not going to get you in trouble either.
He's
Good
just a
answer.
boy.
Good
But I
answer.
want to tell you something. If we were to continue this, I like where you're going with the creativity. I'm a little bit more. I'd like to put myself more in the bracket of a Snake Plissken from Escape from New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got you there.
Yeah, because if it was going to go like, and I would even include Hackney in that too. And no, Hackney's more of the movie, the what is it, The Revenant. Like, I'm not kidding. There's a big part of me that could and would want to see a grizzly bear beat the hell out of him.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome. Now, I'm not going to kid you here. There's some decent outdoor programming going on right now. But the 3 top shows, in my eyes, are Zona's World's Greatest Awesome Fishing Show. You got a hell of a show, dude. All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to
Thank
tell
you.
you. There's the Bass Masters, of course. Love the Bass Masters. And the third one is Major League Fishing, man. Are you a fan of Major League Fishing?
I have never missed an episode of Major League Fishing since the day it started.
It's outstanding.
I have watched. Look, man, my wife will tell you, I got home on Sunday night from doing 317 hours of Bassmaster Live this last week.
Wow.
Or at least it felt like that. And I got home, and when I walked in my house, I the very first thing I turned on was Major League Fishing down. It was on Little Lake Harris last week.
Yeah. I mean, wait, hey, have you ever considered doing a little Major League Fishing, man? You could get it.
No. There's a few reasons why. One of them being my bosses would probably can me right after thinking about doing that. You know what one of the major reasons, Pat, and I mean this sincerely, that I watch that show, besides I watch here's what I watch. I watch the NFL Network, I watch the Weather Channel, and I watch fishing shows. But that fishing show, a lot of people don't know the history, when Zona Show was on ESPN, the producer of my show is now the producer of Major League Fishing. And though I don't see him or get to talk to him anymore, I like to see what he's doing because he's one of the most creative people that I've ever worked with in my life. And I'm actually still really close with that whole entire group. So, plus I'm not going to lie. One thing that watching that show has done is show who is really, 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 really dialed in and who does not have a freaking clue.
Isn't that right?
It does. It's staggering. I'm not gonna lie. Covering the Elite Series, I've been able to watch that transpire myself with my own eyeballs. But you can really, really see who can get on a lake and dismantle it really quick. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, I love the show, man. I love it. Hey,
But hey, I want to tell you something. I really appreciate what you said about my show a ton and the Bassmasters. I know my show is not for everybody. But what I will tell you about my show, there is no BS in it. Every day does not look like the weather behind me where you can go out, it's 80 degrees, light and variable winds. And I never wanted to tape. Pat, I told you this the first time I met you. I never wanted to tape a show like that. Look, if I show up to the Chesapeake Bay on Tuesday morning to start taping and it's blowing 30, we are going. If it's gas and sleet and snow, we're going. To me, that is the most real stuff on earth. And here's what I'll live by this. Some people love my show. Some people hate my show. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to tell me that thing ain't real because it's been real.
Absolutely. And entertaining. There's only so much traditional, boring fishing shows that we can watch. And again, you are keeping it real, and it's entertaining.
Well,
and that's the
I
aspect.
really think I've got something coming that I can't quite let it out. I've got something coming in the next 12 months that I think potentially can has the potential to change the way we watch and consume fishing going forward. It's something that's been on my mind a lot. And it's something I think in fishing is really, really, really needed. Um, and I'll be able to let a lot more info out in the next 10 months. But I really think it's it's a potential game changer.
Wow.
No doubt.
You can't give us a little clue? I mean, come on.
Just a taste.
No, I can't. I'm sorry. Well, hey, I'll make you a deal. When I can, you'll be the first one. You guys will be the first one that I tell to. So
You promise?
Yeah.
you have my word, because I'm going to tell you, just going by the three shows that you brought up right there. This will be right up that alley, but different. Right up that alley, but different.
I like it.
So
Hey, Mark, our guy Tom Billings over here had a question for you about, and also I do, about Bassmaster Live. We used to be able to watch it back, but now it's not giving us the option to watch it back. Is that going to come back, or is it just going to stay the way it is, where it's strictly live?
gosh, I thought there was number one. You would think I actually work there and would know stuff like that. Gosh, I thought there was links for this week. I swear I thought I
He's shaking
don't
his
know,
head.
but I hate to say this. I really thought that they put them back up on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Evidently, I'm completely grossly misinformed.
We could be wrong too. I don't know, but we'll look into it.
And speaking of that too, you talked about groundbreaking in regards to watching fishing. Now, lately, there's been a lot of maybe controversy, for lack of a better term, about Bass Track and Bass Live. The competitors. We saw Van Dam. He was very vocal about it last week.
Right.
On Toledo Bend. I mean, these sight fishermen, and he called them GPS pirates.
Yeah, I got a little trouble myself last week with what I said.
Yeah. I mean, well, how did you get
I called them
scolded?
cockroaches, is what I called them.
Selginers.
Yeah.
I need to, look. Here's what Bassmaster Live has done. Dale's covered this sport since I don't want to age Dale, but Dale's covered this sport since 1936.
Yeah, he has. Old Krusty has. He has.
And here's what, and really, the way that tournaments have always been brought to all of us back in the TNN days, back in the ESPN days, to really a year ago, is we see all the fireworks and the highlights and lowlights of the final day. That's what tournament coverage has always been. Is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. But what's interesting to me is, I used to go and cover every single day on the water. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, out on the water in those boats. And I always thought, man, there is a lot of compelling stuff that goes on in these tournaments that not a lot of the general public will ever know or ever see in my lifetime. Well, lo and behold, here comes Bassmaster Live. And now we all see the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, the awful. And look, it's gonna be a spark plug for controversy. It's gonna be a spark plug for techniques that maybe a lot of people have protected for many, many, many years.
Right. The Whopper Plopper.
Dude, this is no joke. The night before the day we covered Chris Lane, he said, "Man, I'm throwing a bait. I'm throwing a topwater bait and I really don't want to. I said, are you throwing a whopper plopper? And he goes, damn it. Yes, I am. So, but here's the other side of that is, I've watched for years, and I don't want to get into this too much, but I've watched for years, what the kind of person that I called a cockroach, and that's a terrible word to use, but I have seen things done out on the water to the anglers that are they're almost to the point where you're like, are you for real that you would follow an angler around and then jump in with him and try to cannibalize his, hey, look, man, I know it's a public lake, and if somebody is already sitting there or didn't know, but I'm telling you, I've seen things that they're the most appalling thing I've ever seen in my life. And what I was getting at, that Van Dam was getting at, is somebody that's following you, and then all of a sudden has an allergic reaction to where they think they're in the tournament. Hell, I'm gonna come in and taste the apple pie.
Wow.
Those are things that have never been seen to the mass audience, but yet Sanders and myself have watched that for the last 12 years to the point. And what's interesting is there's hotbed areas that happens way, 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 way more than other places of the country. Guys, I mean this. 99.9% of the spectators are the best on earth. They're the best on earth. They're there to learn. They're there to witness history. They're there to be in the moment. There's a 0.1% on certain lakes, and for some reason, it's a very, very, very common practice on the Tennessee River. I've said it in shows that when we go to Kentucky Lake, Pickwick, Barkley, Wilson, Gunnersville, you see things that go on out on the water. It's like the Wild West.
It's kind of like American Pie when the guy gets a hold of the apple pie.
It's
He just wants to destroy it, right?
exactly. But and look, and I'm sorry I went on for so long there, but I know there's going to be there's going to be a shock value when, I'm not going to lie, there's going to be you're going to really learn the anglers now compared to what and who you thought before. Because before we just got snippets of guys, just little snippets of, dude, when you're in a boat with somebody for 6 hours, you tend to learn who that person is.
Yeah, right. You get a little knowledge.
After seeing Gary Klein get shot at, I don't think there's much that we won't believe after that.
I'm hoping we don't. I'm hoping we don't get that on live. I truly am.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that doesn't.
Gary's
happen.
going to shoot back. So, hey, do you think that since this was so public, and for one of the first times that the fans, the true fans, got to see something like this, you think that guy got his ass kicked in the parking lot later that day, or what?
Oh, from last week?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's fairly embarrassed. But here's what's amazing, Pat, and I'm not saying this jokingly. That person tries to stay, I'm being dead serious, really stay away from our cameras. He don't want his buddies on a chat room or a forum ripping on him. He doesn't want, but I got news. He comes there with that full intention. He comes there with that full intention that, doggone it, I'm going to get on the field and I could throw a ball better than Tom Brady. He's that guy. He's that guy.
There's one in every bunch, man.
Pull that lower unit plug.
There's
right
one in
before he
every
launches.
bunch. Yeah. Well, you got a question, Bobby B? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, besides working on TV, you're working with G. Loomis on a new series of rods, the IMX, the smallmouth series. And I'm really intrigued by this. I love this new 7/8 spinning rod you're coming out with. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
And this is not a gross sales pitch. I hate to say this. It's going to sound horrible. Since the day I started with Loomis many, 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 many years ago, I told them, for northern smallmouth, for the smallmouth that we fish for, from Chicago to Sturgeon Bay to Mille Lacs to St. Clair to Thousand Islands, all the places that I go through a year, throwing a tube or a jerk bait, we've all just come to the conclusion that, well, you're supposed to use a 7-foot spinning rod because that's what was made. That's what was made. And I've always thought that that was never the correct hammer to put the roof up, ever.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why we worked on the 7.5 and the 7.8 spinning rods. I just did a blog about this. It's for all of our smallmouth we chase. The main thing we do when we throw a tube or a jerk bait, we launch. We as far as we can launch. And the other side is the majority of our really big smallmouth, generally a lot of them hit it on the initial drop or the initial jerk.
Yeah.
That rod with that length gives you way more leverage where you have power over a 4 to 5 pound smallmouth instead of him having leverage over you. The rod does all wears a 7.5 foot spinning rod like the ones Loomis just came out with can beat the crap out of a 4 pound smallmouth to where a 7-foot rod doesn't do that. You have to baby him a lot more where he generally has a lot more leverage on you.
And
Now that 7.8, it's can you throw the Kitex on it or the Jackal Rhythm Wave? Is it made for those small swim baits, bombing those and throwing hair jigs?
That rod was made for small swim baiting. When I say small swim baiting, I say a 2.8 to a 4.8.
Nice.
It was made for that stuff. It was made for cracking a 3/8.5 ounce tube. Stuff that we use. I love a 7-foot 8-inch rod for jerk baiting. I could take a jerk bait and throw it 70 yards. That's what you want to do with a small
little
mouth.
ones
I don't
too.
want this to sound the wrong way, but a lot of people tell me that they throw a 6.5 foot rod for smallmouth with a jerk bait.
Yeah.
That is insanity. That is insanity. Like, number one, you got to work your ass off to get the bait to work correctly. And using a 7-foot 8-inch rod, you have to put so much less effort into it. And the other side is when one eats, he has so many problems trying to get rid of the bait compared to a shorter rod. That rod almost acts like a crankbait rod with a crankbait,
Right.
where that rod loads up and has leverage and doesn't tear. To me, a shorter rod has a tendency to rip and tear to where a longer rod doesn't.
We
I
got a
cannot
guy.
wait to get my hands on this
Yes.
rod. I've been dreaming of a rod over 7.6.
He was talking about it in his sleep last night.
it's
Dude,
crazy.
I don't know why I
I'm
was
being
there.
dead serious. I actually talked. I talked to my guy at Loomis and asked him. I said, I got to go back up north in like 3 weeks. Can I get maybe another 1 or 2 really quick that I could use for taping? And he said, Zona, we are completely sold out of them right now. So it worked out pretty good. But I don't want this to sound the wrong way. But selfishly, I wanted to build that rod with Loomis because I think it's the right hammer for smallmouth fishermen. I mean, if you use that rod one time when you go smallmouth fishing, you'll understand the whole concept.
And think when in high school, Mark, we were using the 5.5 foot Bantam Magnum Light pistol grip rods.
Dude, exactly. And here's the thing. And this is what I'll always say, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way. Just because somebody has made it doesn't mean it's the right thing. Occasionally, we can think outside of the box. Hey, I'll be dead honest with you. I've worked with them actually with some 8.5 foot rods that maybe one day we'll see, but for dragging big tubes on Erie and stuff,
Yeah.
it is unbelievable how incredible those rods are.
Why don't they make an 8-footer?
We're working on that, little cowboy.
That's awesome. Hey, Mark, I know you just got home. You want to spend some time with the family. Any parting words for us before you go?
Guys, honestly, I know you cranked this thing off. I want to say it was. Am I right? It was right around the Classic, right before the Classic.
Yes.
Keep it up, man. Y'all come from a part of the country where I grew up in, and And I don't tell Dale I said this, but he's kind of one of my heroes. He kind of is, right?
I think he heard you.
He's smiling ear to ear right
He's
now.
kind of got a little bit of a little Sean Connery thing going on.
He's
too,
the
I like.
viceroy of verbiage. That's what we call him, the viceroy of
But
verbiage.
it's always nice to get together and talk, just because I grew up right there, and I mean this sincerely. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for the kind words. You guys are it means a ton to me.
No, thank you, Mark.
And dude, I'll cry. I'm emotional.
Dude, take care of yourself. Best of luck to you, and keep up the good work. We'll catch up soon, all right, bro?
See you guys.
Metal
Thank you.
later. Straight Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television, the legendary Mark Zona. Hey, keep it locked when we get back. It's time for What's in the Box with Bobby B.